Welcome back to Talk of the Town on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com.
And we welcome you back to Talk of the Town for this Wednesday, May 12th. I'm Gary Stevens. This will be a regular appearance for the next few months as we are getting warmer weather. More people are out on area waterways. So we're going to deal with boating and water safety issues with Sergeant Jon Knott. He is with the Ottawa County Sheriff's Department's Marine Unit. He is heading the unit up, and he joins us via the Zoom connection. John, good morning, and welcome back to Talk at the Town.
Good morning, sir. How are you doing today?
We are well. Hopefully everyone at the Sheriff's Department is well. Of course, if you have a question about nautical matters with John, he'll be happy to answer it at 616-395-1450. And also motoring matters as well, because sometimes even the Marine Unit has to be landlubbers, as they say, and get into vehicles. And let's put it this way. In a couple of weeks, we'll be enjoying some time off with Memorial Day. But for those in Brown, no time off. Not on the waterways or not on the roadways. The click it or ticket, or perhaps the drunken driving initiative on the roadways certainly will be enforced coming up on Memorial Day weekend.
Yes. Yeah, we our Marine Division it's going to be out in full force on Memorial Day weekend. We're manning all the lakes, all the waterways, Lake Michigan, Grand Haven, Spring Lake, Macatawa, all the major ones, and we'll be out. So we'll also have road depths out on the roads doing those projects like the click it and tickets and like projects like that, and safety for the roads.
Speaking about something that works both ways, be it driving a boat or driving an automobile. Obviously, it's easy to spot someone who is inebriated with alcohol. There is field sobriety tests that are used as well. And I brought this up with both the sheriffs in our area, Steve Kempker of Ottawa County, Frank Baker in Allegan County. I'll bring it up with you as well. Should there be ways, or can there be ways to be able to stop impaired drivers with now what is our area, what is the law in the land, because the voters, the recreational marijuana use?
Well, yeah, we treat that similarly to driving while impaired on alcohol. We use similar tests. We have specialists, especially trained deputies that know how different techniques on how to detect marijuana in one's system. They have specialized training or dexterity tests that are primarily focused on marijuana and those types of drug type use issues.
What about things that are being misused? Not illegally used, but misused. I'm talking about opioids. How can that be stopped? Not stopped, but how can it be spotted? With maybe somebody driving that may have taken a little bit of stuff that they should not have taken.
Well, most of our deputies are trained in, they have advanced training. It's called A-RIDE training. What it is our deputies go to a course similarly to the dexterity course for alcohol. And what they do is cover topics such as opioids, huffing like on your aerosol type cans and whatnot. And they get trained on how to detect the different responses for if you're on certain types of drugs and what those types of drugs will do to one. Like if you're very sleepy, you might be on this type of drug, or if you're acting this erratically, you might be on this type of drugs. And like I said, then we have those specialized deputies, which are called DREs. They go to a class down out of state, and that's all they do is just work on testing people that are coming in and out of a jail. And they learn how to do advanced testing on certain different types of drugs further than marijuana.
616-395-1450 if you have a question for Sergeant Jon Knott, Ottawa County Sheriff's Department. Marine unit for the most part, but we can also talk a little bit about road patrols as well. But for the most part, it's Marine that we usually ask Jon Knott to join us. It's his first full year at the helm of the Marine unit after Brett Ensfield moved on to become, with the brass, as they say. But if you got a question for John, he'll be happy to answer it at 616-395-1456. Actually, I got the wrong person. It was Eric Westfield.
Eric Westfield.
Promoted. He got promoted, not Brett Ensfield. He's still, he's still a policing man, most notably with Holland Township. And I'll talk a landlubber question again. And John, I'm not certain how much you are involved with this. Community policing. We have community policing. Absolutely. Ottawa with Holland and Park Townships. I think there's one as well for Georgetown Township in connection with the city of Hudsonville as well. That really becomes an effective effective tool for law enforcement, because you have officers, you have deputies and sergeants that are in the community. They know the community, and they have a good feel for what the community is all about.
Absolutely. Community policing is at the core of my heart. I was a community policing officer for a while. We have community policing officers in Allendale, Georgetown Township. I was one for the Talmadge Township, Park Township, Chester Township area. And we go out, we make connections with the community. It's just a fantastic program, what they do out there.
Yeah, and I mentioned Brett Ensfield. Yeah, give those community policing a plug. And of course, one other thing too is the fact that, and we've discussed, and I think I think we discussed this a little bit with Holland. Sergeant John Weatherwax, who's community policing officer in Holland for the Holland Department of Public Safety, is the fact that a couple of weeks ago there was a story about an officer needing to deliver a baby in suburban Detroit in the parking lot of a hospital, because the baby wanted to come out before mom could get into the hospital. And I asked John about how many times he had to deliver a kid. He said, not yet. And I said, well, my dad, was 26 years in Detroit. He delivered 4 during the 60s and 70s. But there are policing units that are paramedic units within with Ottawa County. Is that the same also with the Marine unit as well? Your boats can also be paramedics in that regard. Be really a first responder before the medical boats come in.
Correct. Like all our so we have medics primarily in the Georgetown and Holland areas, but all of our officers, whether you're on the Marine or you're on the road, they're all first responders. They're all trained in first aid. And really, your police officer, when you call 911, they're going to be the first person that's going to be to make it to your house, essentially. Just because they're in their they're going to be in their car, they're most likely closer to your home. Whereas other units have to take time to man a rig and then make it to your location. A lot of times the ambulances are coming from the hospital, but the police officer essentially is going to be the first person that arrives to your house.
616-395-1450 if you have a question for Ottawa County Sheriff Sergeant Jon Knott. Let's talk a little bit about water. It's still too cold.
Yes, but we do have some great events coming up, though.
Go ahead and tell us about the events first.
So this Saturday, May 15, we're doing free vessel safety checks with the U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary at the Macatawa Lake DNR boat launch in the overflow parking lot off of Ottawa Beach Road. We're going to be doing that from 9 a.m. to 1:30. So if you want to get your boat inspected, you can just go right into the overflow parking lot. We'll inspect your boat. If your boat passes the inspection, we'll give you a safety inspection sticker from the Coast Guard. If it doesn't pass inspection, don't worry, you don't get a ticket or anything like that, and you'll be able to fix your issues with your boat. But we encourage you to come out there and get your boat inspected.
Real quick, what percentage, just off the top of your head, of boats, when an inspection goes in, how many percentage of boats pass it, and how many need a little work?
Well, I don't have the number off the top of my head, Most of the time, if you're getting your boat inspected, you care about the safety of your boat, the safety of the people, the occupants of your boat. So usually you have everything on your boat that you need, and you probably had an inspection in the past as well. A lot of the issues comes up with like, some of the waterways require like flares. The flares might be a year out of date and you don't catch that. Just little stuff that you can correct right on the spot there, or just quick go down to the local store and buy a flare or buy a new life jacket that might be red or something like that. So, but usually they're very simple corrections that you got to make.
That's the safety equipment in that regard. What about structural inspection? Is that done as well, or does that has to be done in a different area?
Typically, we look at the whole boat, make sure, a lot of it depends on what type of boat you bring in it to. There's different restrictions for, let's say, a boat that's 16 foot or under, or something that's bigger than 16 foot, and whether you have an outboard engine or an inboard engine, it all depends, but they look at a little bit of everything. So
I find it humorous because I think it was a couple of days ago in our wire service, they had a little thing about a yacht that was once owned by the legendary actor John Wayne is starting to take in water, and and my question was, when was the last time that boat was taken care of? Because
exactly.
John Wayne has not been with us since 1976, 77, and if he owned a yacht and it hasn't been taken care of since 1976, 77, yeah, it's going to take on water.
It probably needs some work, and probably a lot of it, but. I'm also pleased to say that we completed the Marine Academy for the 2021 class. We have 54 students attended through as far away from the Upper Peninsula. It was a week-long academy, and it ranged from classroom to practical day on Lake Macatawa. And we did this in conjunction with the Michigan DNR, Kent County Sheriff's Department, Allegan County Sheriff's Department, and the U.S. Coast Guard. And it was the class went very good. It was probably one of our better ones yet. So.
What does a class like that entail, Jon Knott?
Well, a lot of classroom. So the class is for basically, if you want to be a Marine Patrol deputy in the state of Michigan, you have to go through this academy. And at the end of the academy, we certify all the deputies or police officers from the municipalities in marine law, or so they can go out and patrol. So they'll be certified Marine deputies or officers. But it entails classroom, a lot of law classes for the first couple of days. We do a lot of pool work where they practice swimming with a firearm, swimming with equipment, recovering objects from the pool. From there, it goes out. We go out on Lake Macatawa. We do boat handling, traffic stops on the water, recovering objects on the water through the boat, and just like classes like that. So
maybe this is an unfair question, Jon Knott, but I'll ask it anyway. What has evolved over the years in the Marine unit in the sense of policing waters? Maybe something that has come up in recent years that has been a challenge, or maybe a challenge that was in past years that has sort of been achieved and overcome by Marine units. I'm not certain whether or not it's a fair question to ask you, John, because you're not wizened, you don't have 30, 40 years in the unit, but yet there has to be some evolving things involved with Marine policing that becomes challenges, or challenges that have been overcome.
Sure. Well, I think it changes from year to year, especially depending on what's going on, especially with water levels and just basic things that are going on in the country. Our Marine unit, for example, it's more community policing type work. We're focused on safety. We're focused on enforcement through education. We might not hand out a ticket the first time, and we want to educate the boaters out there on how to, or what the issue was and why we're stopping them. So it's a lot more, in my standpoint, it's a lot more community policing out on the waterways as far as just going out and making a ton of stops and writing a ton of tickets.
John, our weather forecast is showing temperatures in the 60s in the day and kind of chilly at night. Rule of thumb, what would be the lowest possible comfortable water temperature to really feel safe on waterways? In other words, you don't want to be freezing, but also you don't want to have to wait until it's bath water and get the soap out to be able to go into the water.
I mean, I like, if I'm out in the water enjoying it, I like the 70s and low 80s, but man, it doesn't matter too. That lake water gets cold even when it's a warm day, especially if you have an east wind. It'll turn over Lake Michigan, and you'll have extreme cold temperatures even on a hot day. And it's always safe, or it's always good to be prepared out there. If you fall overboard, you can even on a warm day, you can still get hypothermia out there. So just use extreme caution, especially this weekend. Our Marine division will be out there this weekend. We are starting the patrol season, so if you need help, call up. We'll be out there. So.
How much policing does the unit do in terms of the docks, most notably Holland, but also Grand Haven? Because people like to go out into the piers and take those nice photos of crashing waves at times, and not realizing that one slip and you're in the water.
Exactly, and that's a good point too. If the waves are that big where they're crashing over the pier head, our boats aren't going to be on Lake Michigan, and you're literally taking your life into your own hands if you walk on those piers and those waves are crashing over the pier and you get swept away. And you're putting everybody that has to come out there and save you in danger as well. So take a second thought before you walk out on that pier when those waves are large. But we do have, I know Holland Pier Head now does have a gate where it can be closed if the weather gets out of control. But it's basically there just as a reminder not to go out on that pier head if it's wavy out there.
Are we still having a problem with people taking souvenirs from the piers, i.e., the life rings and stuff? A life ring that says Grand Haven Pier or Holland Pier. We still having a problem with that, or is that sort of passe now?
Grand Haven, not so much. They actually have cameras on the life rings. And like a pressure sensor. Once that life ring gets lifted off, an alarm goes off in our dispatch, and the camera automatically turns there. And that's dual purpose. We can see if the life ring's been removed. Also, we can see if there's an emergency. Dispatch can look at the camera and see if there's an emergency on the pier head, and we can get a known point to where responders have to go. However, on Holland Pier, we are always constantly replacing life rings out on that pier.
Okay.
A lot of it, some might be wave action as well, but we are working to fix that problem.
Yeah, I'm just, because it was a problem a few years ago with people taking souvenirs. And let's put it this way: there's different souvenirs you can get, not
exactly. If you take that life ring and somebody needs it, I wouldn't want that on my conscience if somebody drowns because that life ring's gone.
Now, Sergeant Jon Knott, I want to ask you a question similar along the lines of what you mentioned a little bit earlier about informing boaters of violations at times. If you're on patrols and you see a boat maybe erratic or something like that, or you notice something wrong, maybe it's in the dusk and they don't have the lights on and stuff like that. Do you, and I say the department, also sort of advise swimmers at times, especially near beach areas?
Absolutely, especially during the rip current times. We would, I know the DNR will go out there and they put out the flags. It's very important to look at those flags when it's a red flag. Some of the minutes at Grand Haven, I believe, will go out there and they, if it's rough out, they'll advise people about the swimming conditions and water conditions as well. So.
Yeah, the reason why I'm saying whether if the department is involved with that is because a lot of times we do have unfortunate incidents that involve loss of life with people who are from our area that are well aware of what rip currents can do. But more often than not, when we've had tragedies, it involves people who are visiting our area from other parts of the state. Well, let's put it this way: they probably have never heard of a rip current. or never experienced it. And it's almost as if, every year you got to educate, 3 out of every 4 people you talk to, you got to educate them about that because they have absolutely no idea.
Right. And especially with like Holland, I have been in meetings with the Holland State Park DNR. They're currently I believe they're going to be setting up buoys around the pier head where we have most of the rip currents. So to make that a no swim area, it always has been, but people always kind of sneak in there, and it's really at their own risk. But I believe this year they're going to be putting out buoys, and it's going to be a well-marked area for these no swim area, and that hopefully will cut down at the issues with rip currents, and that as long as people obey the swim area.
One final thing, Sergeant Jon Knott, the thing coming up on Saturday. Again, tell us when and where and what it involves.
So that's going to be at the DNR boat launch off of Ottawa Beach Road on Lake Macatawa. It's going to be in the overflow lot. It's going to be a vessel safety inspection day. Come down to get your vessel checked out. And if you pass, you'll get a safety sticker from the Coast Guard.
What hours are we looking at?
It's going to be from 9 a.m. to 1:30.
Sergeant Jon Knott, thanks for joining us on WHTC's Talk of the Town. We'll talk to you next month.
Thank you, sir. It's been a pleasure.